Hi, welcome to my channel, and more specifically, welcome to the first in a series that I'm going to be affectionately referring to as Review in a Robe, wherein I review books while wearing a robe under the guise of trying to do something fun. However, I'm really just lazy. It's 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday. I'm ready for bed, and I need to get this filmed. So I'll probably keep doing this because I love consistency. Today I'm going to be reviewing the book Still Beating by Jennifer Hartmann. Still Beating is a romantic suspense novel or dark romance novel. And at the time of filming this, it is free on Kindle Unlimited, or you can purchase a physical copy for $17.99. Before I get into my review, I am going to put the trigger warnings on screen here somewhere, so you can get a sense of whether or not this is something you'd be able to explore. Definitely take care of yourselves and consider those trigger warnings before continuing. Let's jump straight in. So in short, I was not expecting to love this book. I wasn't even expecting to like it. I thought I would hate it simply because I don't typically read dark romance. The premise kind of freaked me out a little bit, but it piqued my curiosity, I guess. When I was in Barnes & Noble one night, I picked it up, I kind of leafed through it, and I just decided to check it out. And I'm really glad I did because I actually ended up rating it 5 stars. It sucked me in. I started it on a Friday night and I finished it the following Sunday morning, so very quick read. Next, I'm going to get into a plot summary. This won't have any big spoilers or anything. It'll have some minor, plot sequence spoilers of, what you can anticipate happening in the book. So our two main characters are Cora and Dean. And they're essentially kind of childhood rivals, I guess you could say. Dean has been dating Cora's sister Mandy for 15 years, and they've developed sort of this, for lack of a better phrase or term, sibling rivalry. A lot of teasing on Dean's part, and Cora views their relationship as being kind of strained. She doesn't like him at the beginning of the book. However, it is pretty clear, it was to me pretty early on, that Dean viewed their relationship more affectionately than Cora did. Cora took a lot of his pranks and teasing sort of at face value, and it caused her to dislike him, generally speaking. Whereas on Dean's side, it was pretty clear that he deeply cared about her, and this rivalry was more of a cover to conceal those feelings. One night when they're out celebrating Mandy's 30th birthday, Cora gets stranded at the bar and ends up calling Dean to come pick her up. When he comes to get her, they both end up getting kidnapped on their way home by a serial killer. The story that follows is all about their survival, their bond as a result of their shared trauma, their forbidden romance that is sort of born out of this tragedy, and their path to finding happiness when it seems like that would be impossible. Next, I'm going to get into what I liked and didn't like about the book without spoilers. Because my list of things that I didn't like is quite short, I'm just going to start with that. So, I enjoy books with spice. However, my pet peeve in reading these books is when I feel like it's excessive or it's spice for the sake of spice. I did feel like a couple of sections dragged their feet a little bit because of the spice. Probably could have benefited from removing at least one or two of them. That's pretty nitpicky. Anytime I'm reading a book where there's a lot of spice and I'm kind of over it, if I have a moment where I'm like, oh, they're doing it again, I have to acknowledge that. And that's what I did here. So I will say it was something that I didn't love. But other than that, I really enjoyed the pacing of this book, which will kind of segue into what I enjoyed about the book. I liked the pacing a lot. It was a relatively quick read. I want to say it's just over 300 pages, and it felt like we picked up steam right away at the beginning of the book, and we were in our captor's basement 25 pages in, I want to say, something like that, really early on in the book. And the momentum just kept going from there, which I really appreciated. And just overall, what I enjoyed about the book, it was gripping from start to finish. It was heartbreaking, it was hopeful, and I really couldn't put it down. I don't think I've ever read about two characters that I wanted to win so badly as I did Cora and Dean. I really was rooting for them and their happiness the whole time. Not just their relationship, but wanting them to end up together. It really wasn't even about that towards the end, because it wasn't that kind of romance. That's when I know a book has really deeply affected me. When I go into it expecting one thing and I come out of it feeling a different type of way. And what I really loved most about this book was Cora's perseverance. Her growth throughout the entire journey of the story was really inspiring. I also very much loved how obviously Dean cared about Cora as a friend and as a person above all else. Let me touch on some things that I liked about the book that have spoilers, plot spoilers. I loved the flashbacks between Dean and Cora that kind of shed more light into their relationship, showing the reader that Dean in particular cared much more for Cora than she realized. Those scenes really added depth to his character. Next, I want to touch on something that worked for me that may be controversial and people would disagree with me. So I really don't like the cheating trope in books. In fact, I will, if I know a book has it, I will avoid that book. The cheating trope in this was complicated because obviously it was forced upon the couple in their captivity. And then it was, I mean, we're in their heads, right? So we know. It was nearly unavoidable after they returned to their real lives. And the latter, you know, it's more of an emotional infidelity. I guess depending on your viewpoint, there were a few physical things, I suppose, but nothing serious happened, right, until after Dean broke off his engagement to Mandy. But anyway, all of that to say, what worked for me was the way that Jennifer made Mandy's character just unlikable enough to where I could get through that part of the book. That sounds terrible. It's not how I feel in real life. I don't think people deserve to be cheated on physically or otherwise if I don't like them. But in terms of reading fiction, it would have been a lot harder for me to stomach the rest of the story if Mandy was like this incredible person. But she had a lot of really she was a pretty flawed person, and Jennifer made that clear for our benefit, I think. So that was one thing that stood out to me that worked. A couple other things. I really loved the introduction of Tabitha, the other lone survivor of the matchmaker. I think introducing her into the story was pretty critical for Cora's healing process, because she had somebody else that knew exactly what she went through. And even went through something so much worse because she lost the man that she loved, whereas Dean came out alive. So seeing her bond with another woman in a similar situation was really important for her story, I think. I loved the heartbeat motif. I mean, I feel like that kind of goes without saying. The pulse point on Cora from Dean, the heart-shaped locket, the EKG tattoo. It was a point that kind of kept our characters grounded throughout the entire story that I really liked. two more quick things. I loved that Cora ended up adopting the two dogs that were rescued from the matchmaker's house and that she named after two of her favorite Beatles songs. It added a lot of depth to her character. It showed like a softness and empathy from her to be able to glean something so positive from something so horrific. It really connected to these characters, even though I did not relate to them on a fundamental level. I've never been through this situation, but I just felt like they were real, which I loved. Lastly, this was my favorite third act breakup that I think I've ever experienced in a romance. I don't often like third act breakups. You can usually see them coming, the 75% mark. Everything's hunky-dory. Everyone's happy. So you're like, all right, well, the formula tells us this is going to happen. I think the third act breakup was needed in this story. I appreciated that Dean initiated it. It showed a lot of selflessness on his end to give Cora the space she needed to heal. She was not going to heal the way she needed to with Dean being in her life for that time. That wraps up all of my general thoughts, very specific, detailed thoughts about Still Beating by Jennifer Hartmann. If this type of plot, these themes sound like they'd be interesting to you, I definitely recommend checking it out. Like I said, I rated it 5 stars, and I'm really looking forward to reading some more Jennifer Hartmann novels. Lotus, I think, is the next one I'm going to read. It's sort of an interconnected standalone from Still Beating. A character referenced kind of late in Still Beating is the main character for this one, I believe. So I'll be checking that out soon. If you enjoyed this review, let me know. If you enjoyed this format, very relaxed and cozy, let me know. I hope somebody likes this because I think I'd like to keep doing this. I plan to talk about a lot more books on this channel. So thank you so much again, and I hope you come back soon. Bye.